All right, so we're diving into this mobility training deep dive. I know everyone out there wants to move better and feel stronger, but sometimes it's hard to know where to even begin. And it's not just about stretching right.
Absolutely. It's about building strength within that range of motion. So you can move, you can move freely and confidently. Think of it this way. You wouldn't expect a rusty old door hinge to swing open smoothly, would you?
Huh. Definitely not. A little WD-40 is needed there. So how do we start greasing the hinges, so to speak, of our bodies?
Well, just like any good mechanic, we got to start with an assessment. Before we jump into any exercises, we need to see what we're working with, like having a personalized roadmap for your body.
I like where this is going. I like it. So what's step one on this roadmap?
Well, first we need to see how your body moves right now. We've got 4 simple assessments to get a sense of your current mobility. Now, these aren't pass or fail tests, just a way to identify any areas where you might have limitations or imbalances.
Okay, got it. It's like taking inventory before we start building.
Right, yeah.
Right. Okay, let's do this. What's the first assessment?
All right, let's start with the overhead reach test. You're going to stand with your feet, shoulder width apart, arms at your sides. Now, slowly raise your arms overhead, keeping them straight. And as you do that, pay attention. Can you get your arms all the way up without arching your back or shrugging your shoulders?
I'm definitely noticing my shoulders want to creep up towards my ears when I do that.
Interesting. Okay, so that might indicate some tightness in your lats, the muscles on the sides of your back. Or it could point to limited mobility in your thoracic spine. That's the upper part of your back.
Okay.
Now, these areas can directly impact how well you perform. Overhead movements like reaching for something on a high shelf, or even just, lifting your arms during exercise.
Okay, that makes sense. So if someone wants to improve their shoulder mobility for activities like swimming or throwing a ball, this test can help pinpoint where they might need to focus their attention.
Exactly.
Okay. What's next?
All right. So for the next assessment, let's move down to the lower body. We're going to do the deep squat test. Stand with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart and toes slightly pointed out. Now, lower yourself into a squat as if you were sitting in a chair.
Okay, squatting down. Ooh, I'm noticing my heels are lifting off the ground. Does that mean I fail the test?
Not at all. No, it simply suggests that you might have limited ankle mobility. It could be tightness in your calves or your Achilles tendon. Or it could also be a sign of restricted hip mobility, which is super common, especially if you spend a lot of time sitting.
Wow. I never realized a simple squat could reveal so much. It's really like we're gathering clues to understand our own bodies. All right, what's the next assessment?
Okay, let's move on to the hip flexion test. For this one, you're going to lie on your back with knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Now gently pull one knee towards your chest. As you do that, pay attention to your lower back. Does it stay flat on the floor or does it arch up?
Okay, pulling my knee in. Interesting. My lower back is definitely lifting off the ground a little bit. What does that tell us?
Could mean that your hip flexors, the muscles that run along the front of your hips, are tight. Tight hip flexors, again, very common in people who sit for long periods, and it can contribute to lower back pain and poor posture.
So if someone's trying to improve their posture or maybe alleviate lower back pain, this test could be a key indicator for them. Okay, got it. What's the last assessment?
All right. Last but not least, let's check your ankle flexibility with the ankle dorsiflexion test. Stand facing a wall about a foot's distance away. Step 1 foot forward and bend your knee towards the wall. Now, can your knee touch the wall without your heel lifting off the ground?
Okay, letting that knee drift forward. Nope, heel pops right up.
So that suggests you might have limited ankle dorsiflexion, meaning your ankle doesn't bend as much as it could. This is something that can affect your gait, your balance, your ability to perform movements like walking, running, squatting effectively.
Wow. I never thought about how important ankle flexibility is for just, everyday activities. So we've done all 4 assessments. What's next?
Now that we've got a better understanding of your current mobility, where your body's at, let's talk about goals. I mean, after all, this personalized plan is all about you and what you want to achieve.
That's right. We've got our baseline assessment, our mobility roadmap. Now, let's talk about the destination. Where do we want to go with this?
Right.
What are some common goals that people have when it comes to mobility?
Well, it really runs the gamut. Some people are focused on improving their athletic performance. Maybe they want to increase their squat depth, improve their running form, just feel more agile on the field. Others might be dealing with, pain or stiffness, maybe from sitting at a desk all day or, lingering from an old injury. And then there are those who are, simply looking to maintain their mobility as they age so they can keep doing all the activities they love.
So whether you're a weekend warrior or you're, stuck at a desk all day or just want to feel more comfortable in your everyday life, there's a place for mobility training.
Exactly. It's all about customizing your approach to fit your individual needs and aspirations.
I love that.
But regardless of your specific goal, setting clear, measurable objectives is key to staying motivated and tracking your progress.
Okay, so how do we turn those general goals, like I want to move better, into something more concrete?
Yeah. So think about what you want to achieve and by when. Let's say your assessment revealed tight hamstrings and you want to improve your forward fold. Your goal could be something like, I want to be able to touch my toes with straight legs within 3 months.
Okay, so it's specific, it's measurable, and it's time-bound. I liked it. And I imagine those goals are going to vary depending on what those assessments revealed.
Exactly. So, if someone's goal is to improve their squat depth, they might aim to achieve a full squat with their heels flat on the ground, within a certain time frame. Or if they're working on ankle mobility, they might set a goal to, increase their dorsiflexion range of motion by a certain degree.
So it's all about tailoring those goals to that, to the individual and what their needs are.
Awesome. So we've got our goals in place. We know where we're headed. Now, what about the actual exercises themselves?
Right. Now comes the fun part, choosing exercises.
Yeah. This is where the rubber meets the road. I'm ready to start moving.
There's a whole world of mobility exercises out there, and we're going to find the ones that are perfect for you.
Okay. I think before we jump into specific exercises, it would be helpful to understand the different types of mobility training, right? I mean, where do we even begin?
You're right. Let's break it down.
Okay.
So there are a few main categories of mobility exercises. Each one has, its own unique benefits. So first, we have dynamic stretching, which basically involves moving your joints through a range of motion. It's a great way to warm up the muscles and increase blood flow. Think leg swings, arm circles, torso twists.
So dynamic stretching is like our pre-workout appetizer to get the body moving. Exactly. Then we have static stretching, which involves holding a stretch for an extended period, usually 30 seconds to a minute. This helps to, lengthen the muscles and improve flexibility. Think about those classic stretches like touching your toes or holding a hamstring stretch.
So static stretching is more about lengthening and holding.
Precisely. Then we have active mobility, which focuses on, building strength and control through a range of motion. So this involves using your own muscles to move your joints through a specific movement pattern. A good example is the world's greatest stretch, which kind of combines a lunge with a spinal twist and a thoracic rotation.
World's greatest stretch. I've heard of that one. Sounds pretty epic.
It's a great all-rounder, it targets multiple areas at once. And then we have PNF stretching, or proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. It's a mouthful. But basically combines stretching with muscle contractions to further enhance flexibility.
PNF stretching sounds a little more advanced. How does that one work?
So essentially, you contract the muscle you're stretching for a few seconds, and then you relax and move deeper into the stretch. And this helps to kind of override your natural stretch reflex, which allows for, greater gains in flexibility.
So you're tricking your muscles into relaxing more.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. Sounds like something I would need guidance with at first.
You can find a lot of tutorials online. And then finally, we have myofascial release techniques like foam rolling, which involves applying pressure to those tight muscles and fascia to release tension and improve mobility.
Foam rolling, my favorite love-hate relationship. It hurts so good. Okay, so we've got dynamic, static, active, PNF, and myofascial release. That's quite a toolbox. So how do we know which of these tools are right for us?
That's where your assessment and your goals come in.
Yes.
So let's say your assessment revealed tight hip flexors and you want to improve your squat depth. We might focus on exercises that target those specific areas. Things like hip flexor stretches, pigeon pose, lunges with a thoracic rotation.
So if someone's struggling with ankle mobility, we might incorporate exercises like ankle circles, calf stretches, and maybe some squat variations that really emphasize that ankle dorsiflexion.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like putting together a puzzle, using those assessment results to guide our exercise choices.
I love that analogy. Okay, so we've assessed our mobility, we've set our goals, and we're starting to get a sense of which exercises are right for us. What's the next step in this personalized plan?
All right, so now comes the crucial part. Incorporating these exercises into your routine in a way that feels, sustainable and enjoyable.
Okay, this is where I think a lot of people, they struggle. It's one thing to know what to do, but it's another to actually make it a regular habit.
Absolutely.
How do we bridge that gap?
Yeah. Well, with a little bit of planning and some creative strategies, it's definitely achievable. The key is to make it a part of your life, not just another chore you dread.
Right. So we're back. We've covered a lot of ground on this mobility journey, from assessing our starting point to choosing exercises that fit our unique needs. But, now comes the real test. How do we make this a lasting change? How do we make mobility a part of our lives, not just another fad workout we try for a week and then forget about?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We can have all the knowledge in the world, but if we don't put it into practice consistently, it won't do us much good.
So how do we bridge that gap between knowing and doing? How do we turn mobility into a habit, something we actually look forward to, not just something we feel like we should do?
Well, one key is to remember that this isn't about adding more to your already busy schedule. It's about finding those little pockets of time throughout your day and using them to move your body in ways that feel good.
Right. We talked earlier about incorporating mobility into our morning routine, work breaks, even, our leisure time.
Exactly. And the more you do this, the more natural it'll become. Eventually, it won't feel like something you have to force yourself to do. It'll be something you crave, like that first sip of coffee in the morning.
Okay. I like that analogy, turning mobility into something we desire, not just endure. So besides integrating it into our routines, what else can help us make it a sustainable habit?
Well, celebrating those small wins along the way is crucial. It's easy to get caught up in those big goals and forget to acknowledge those little milestones that get us there.
So if I manage to hold a plank for an extra 10 seconds, or I notice my hips feel a little less stiff during my morning walk, those are things I should pause and celebrate.
Absolutely. Those small victories are proof that you're making progress. They're like little boosts of motivation that fuel your desire to keep going.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about shifting our focus from what we haven't achieved yet to what we have accomplished. Appreciating the journey, not just the destination.
Precisely. And it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Maybe it's taking a moment to appreciate how much easier it is to reach for something on a high shelf now that your shoulder mobility has improved. Or maybe it's noticing that you can now sit on the floor and play with your kids without feeling any pain or stiffness.
I love that. It's about finding those everyday moments where you actually feel the impact of your mobility practice, and those moments become your own personal testimonials. Right? They remind you why you're doing this in the first place.
Exactly. And another powerful tool is to surround yourself with a supportive community. Find people who share your interest in movement, whether it's a local yoga class, an online group, or even just a friend who enjoys going for walks or hikes.
I totally agree. Having that tribe of like-minded people can make the journey so much more enjoyable. And it helps you stay accountable. It's like having, a cheer squad cheering you on, even when you're feeling unmotivated.
Exactly. And remember, everyone's journey is unique. Don't compare yourself to others or, get caught up in what other people are doing. Just focus on your progress, your goals, and your experience.
That is such an important reminder, especially, with social media these days. You see everyone's seemingly perfect mobility routines, and it's easy to get caught up in that comparison game. But at the end of the day, it's about what works for you.
Absolutely. And it's not about perfection. It's about progress.
Yeah.
There will be days when you feel amazing and your body moves effortlessly. And then there'll be days where you feel stiff and achy and unmotivated.
It's like life, right? Peaks and valleys, but the important thing is to just keep moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time.
Exactly. And remember, mobility is a journey, not a destination. It's something you can cultivate and nurture throughout your life.
It's not about reaching some arbitrary level of flexibility or achieving, the perfect handstand. It's about making movement, a conscious and joyful part of our everyday lives.
Beautifully said. It's about honoring our bodies, appreciating what they can do, and exploring their full potential.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. We've explored the importance of mobility, we learned how to create a personalized plan, and we discovered strategies for making it a sustainable habit. As we wrap up, is there one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I would just encourage everyone listening to embrace the power of movement. Explore different ways to move your body. Find what brings you joy and make it a regular part of your life. You might be surprised at how much it can transform not just your physical well-being, but your mental and emotional health as well.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and expertise with us. This has been an incredibly inspiring conversation. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of mobility. We hope you feel inspired to move your body, celebrate your progress, and embrace the journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep moving, and keep discovering the amazing potential within you.